Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice. I'm Tia Coyle.
And I'm Matt Guy.
Welcome to the Yorkshire Chief Executive, Sir Gary Verity, hopes to expand the Tour de Yorkshire to a 4-day event. It comes after the success of the weekend's race, which saw over 2 million people come out to cheer on the cyclists.
The successful 3-day event brought the country's focus to Yorkshire, and it's hoped the legacy of Le Tour will be long-lived. Sasha Scales reports.
Here in Britain today, it's the Tour de Yorkshire Grand Depart, which only leaves us to say, hep, hep.
Crowds gathered in Bridlington on Friday morning to watch the beginning of the Tour de Yorkshire and support the cyclists as they set off on the 3-day race. Spectators at the seaside town were excited to see the race begin and wave off some of the world's best cyclists.
No, good turnout, good for the school kids to come today and see it all.
Confident, we've done the training and now we're up for the ride.
Yes, we've been to one before at the start here at Bridlington and the turnout was fantastic and I can see it being the same again.
The second stage of the race ended in Harrogate with the people of the town delighted to host the spectacle and the boost to the business that it brings.
Well, I think this is going to be great for the town because it's bringing people in, it's letting the public just see how good Harrogate is, what a beautiful town it is.
It's the first time I've been to a bicycling event like this, so yeah, I'm really excited, yeah.
Oh, it's a fantastic event that everyone can come out and enjoy. There's no cost associated with it and just the atmosphere is fantastic.
The Tour made its way to Bradford for the first time on Sunday morning as the cyclists set off on their final stage. And while Horsforth's very own gold medal triathlete Alistair Brownlee didn't take part in the event, he says the race will benefit the region.
I think the Tour of Yorkshire is just a fantastic way to showcase the sport of cycling and inspire more people into the sport, as long as just people having a great day out. So it's really special that we keep on having big events in the city like Tour of Yorkshire, the region, and similar to the triathlon as well. I think that's along the same lines. It's fantastic to have these big events to inspire people and just have a great day out watching.
Fox Valley near Sheffield saw the event come to an end, cheering the 18 teams made up of around 140 cyclists as they completed the gruelling 490-kilometre course.
I know if I look at racing abroad, I see stuff abroad, then I want to go to those places. So I think for people who see Yorkshire on telly and what have you, they'll think, oh, well, that's where I'd like to go from.
It brings lots of publicity and it gets everybody interested and people interested in cycling as well.
I think it's very important. It puts us on the map, really, doesn't it?
Organisers, who hailed the event as a fantastic source of pride for Yorkshire, now hope to extend the race to 4 days.
Now the news in brief. 300 jobs are to be created in South Yorkshire after a deal was finalised with Tata Steel. It also secures the future of 5 sites in England.
The announcement was made as Steel's business Liberty House completed a £100 million deal to acquire a division of Tata Steel UK. The news protects the jobs of 1,700 existing staff at 3 major sites including Rotherham, Stocksbridge and Brinsworth in South Yorkshire. Police in West Yorkshire are looking for a girl who has gone missing in the Halifax area. 12-year-old Isabella Vorosova was last seen yesterday evening. She was wearing grey leggings and a baseball cap, carrying a rucksack when she went missing. Police are appealing for anyone with any information to contact them.
Leeds United are today welcoming a new lead strategist to their board of directors. The club has welcomed the arrival of Ivan Bravo, who was the chief strategist at Spanish giants Real Madrid from 2003 to 2010, and said that experts bring him to wealth of knowledge and expertise gained from leading roles at the very highest levels.
Schools in Yorkshire are struggling to cope with massive cuts to their budgets. The School Cuts website says the average loss of funding per pupil is in the area of £400 to £500. The National Union of Teachers says there will be devastating consequences for schools in Yorkshire. Louis Ortiz reports.
Pupils in Yorkshire schools will be hard hit by the budget cuts. It's projected that by 2020, primary and secondary schools in the UK will lose £3 billion a year unless more funds are allocated.
Last year in the top 1% of schools in the country with our Key Stage 1 SAT scores, which is even more remarkable to say that we're the most deprived primary school in Leeds and our results were something that just shouldn't have been expected. And we've done that by a team that stuck together from day one through the hard times, and now that we're celebrating the success, with the funding, as I said, it's really sad that people will end up losing their jobs, which is heartbreaking after all the hard work and dedication and commitment that they've done.
Chris Dyson says that if the right funds aren't found, subjects like art and music will be taken out of the normal curriculum. There will be fewer teachers and resources, which will cause the bigger class sizes.
Leeds is a growing city. Leeds has a large child population. There's a shortage of school places already, and there will be a shortage of teachers as well, because teachers will be made redundant. But also it's getting more and more difficult to recruit teachers to the profession. So the impact will be devastating on educational provision in Yorkshire generally.
On average, primary schools will lose about £110,000 and secondary schools will lose nearly £500,000 over the next 3 years. The NUT is urging parents to raise the issue to politicians in the run-up to the general election.
This year, parents are predicted to lend more than £6.5 billion to help their children get on the property ladder. First-time buyers are continuing to struggle to afford homes and are now having to rely on the bank of mum and dad. Our reporter, Abby Bates, is live now.
Yes, it seems like the first step of the housing ladder is becoming more difficult. The amount of money that parents are loaning their children is up by 30% on last year's figures of £5 billion. I've been to Horsforth today to ask young people if they would loan money off their parents in order to buy a house.
I couldn't afford my deposit, definitely, yeah, because I mean, student loans are pretty iffy, hit and miss, aren't they? So, if I couldn't afford it, then I'd have to, I guess, yeah.
You want to be independent, and when you go somewhere you don't want to be asking, I wouldn't want to ask them for that because they'd think, oh, she can't really fend for herself on her own.
I don't think I'd go to them first because I'd feel kind of bad about it, but I know they'd help me if I were really desperate.
It's predicted that parents will be involved in a quarter of all property transactions in the UK. This means that more young people will be going to the bank of mum and dad for help. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Abby. With me in the studio now is Bruce Collinson from Adair Paxton, housing specialist in Horsforth.
Hi there, Bruce. So, with the housing market, what Abby said there is that the property ladder, and that is getting much more difficult for people to get onto. So, is the property market failing?
No, I don't think it is. This was a very fashionable report about 2 or 3 months ago. It is undersupplied. There are too many people living in too small an island. We need 250,000 new houses a year and we're only delivering 100,000. But apart from that, it is not failing because it works in the open market principles of supply and demand. Is there an issue with first-time buyers? Yes, there is. That is a problem area.
Obviously, this 30% increase is a massive rise of people relying on their parents. So what does this mean for parents who can't afford to help?
There was a report this morning of parents downsizing to release equity in order to lend it to the child in order to form a deposit for him to buy. They're already staying at home longer. Your generation may already have seen this. The average age of a first-time buyer in England is now said to be north of 30 years old. And then there are knock-on effects. They tend to then want to step into the housing ladder on a higher rung than they would have done. This northwest Leeds is an expensive area to live relatively. So you're buying a dearer house in a dearer area and you need a proportionately bigger deposit. And if you've been renting for all your adult life, it's increasingly difficult to scrape that amount of deposit together.
Is there anything that is in place at the minute for first-time buyers to get help, to get money from schemes from the government or things?
Yeah, the Help to Buy scheme, we've seen a lot of activity with that, and I would say from what I've seen of it overall, it's been successful. It's done exactly what they intended it to do.
Right, okay.
That's great. Thank you, Colin.
Bruce
Collinson. And in football, Guiseley have managed to fight off relegation in the National League following a 1-1 draw with Solihull Moors. That meant York City were relegated for the second season in a row. Despite drawing, there is some hope for York, however, with a win in a trophy against Macclesfield on Wembley the 21st in the FA Cup Trophy final.
And in cricket, Yorkshire have made a strong start to their one-day campaign. They have beaten Nottinghamshire and fellow rivals Lancashire. Yorkshire currently sit at the top of the table after 2 games. They are next in action at Headingley tomorrow against Durham.
That's all from us in the studio. Thank you to Bruce Collinson for joining us today.
If you want to join in the conversation, follow us on Twitter using @YorkshireV, on Facebook and on our website yorkshirevoice.com. Have a very good evening and we'll be back Thursday.